realm, because our next story is that Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, has been renewed for a season 3.
Hell yeah.
Now, I've not seen the show. I did just watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the first time a couple months ago, so I have seen the movies now. So maybe I should watch the show soon. But you liked Rings of Power, right? The show's coming along steadily. It's
Oh,
it's still going. They haven't gotten the boot.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. I know. Look, I know there's glaring, abysmal, controversial things around the show because the books. I totally like, and I totally get the book people out there. If you're a Tolkien fan, like I get it. Like they've
Oh,
changed
schmuck.
so much, but that world is so rich, and I love high fantasy so much. I just can't. And the production is so stellar. I can forgive all of its sins. It just looks so cool. I mean, like, and everything about it's great. And the season 2 had all the check marks. It had orcs, it had fights, it had wraiths, it had undead, it had spiders, it had the only thing it was missing was a dragon. You know what I mean? It had like everything, and it's such a great show just in terms of production. Like, it's really hard to hate it because the production is so good. And to be fair, Tolkien is a great novelist, but his stuff can be a little hard to read and interpret, and the lore and the it's almost like I almost like kind of compare it to the Bible. If you ever read the Bible, it's very similar in that regard. Like how the characters beget someone and someone does something else, and then they beget this person, and then they get punished, and then Uthiliel does this. It's a lot of characters doing things that
Mhm.
they ignore, and I don't. There is no love interest before with Galadriel and Saruman. That does not exist, and that's what the whole show is basically centered around, and
Yeah,
that's why Nicole likes the show too. So.
that checks out.
So it
That
works. It
checks
works
out.
for me. Like if I can get her to watch fantasy, it's great. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I know my friend Joseph is just. It's hard if you're a Tolkien enthusiast. It's very hard to watch because they change just
Right.
everything. But I think the changes. It's what is accurate and what is entertaining. I think things mean gameplay, right? What's fun and what's realistic. You know what I mean? Like, is this a fun mechanic?
Right.
No. If I could drop items in Resident Evil and switch them, that would make the whole game a whole different game. You know what I mean? And there wouldn't be really puzzle
Mhm.
aspects. There wouldn't be inventory management. That's part of the system. So I think they made changes because they didn't have the rights to, I think, the Silmarillion. They had the rights to the books, but not the Silmarillion, which is where all this lore is based out of. So someone didn't want something, wanted too much money or said no or wanted to be too heavily involved, whatever. So they just doing their best. I'm loving it. I can't get enough of it. I like most of the characters. I like the designs. I like the armor. I like the weapons. There's not a single thing I hate about it. I love it all. Like, it's just
Hey,
great high fantasy. I love my high
well, I'm
fantasy stuff.
excited. You
Love it.
do. I'm excited for you. There's going to be a third season. We have a log line, Greg. The first details about season 3 in this article. Here's the quote: Jumping forward several years from the events of season 2, season 3 takes place at the height of the War of the Elves and Sauron, as the Dark Lord seeks to craft the one ring that will give him the edge he needs to win the war and conquer all Middle Earth at last. So there you go. That's something you got to look forward to there. Um, but I should probably watch the show now that I've seen Lord of
Yeah,
the
you should
Rings.
watch
I
the
should
show. If you like the
I'll check it
first three
out.
Lord of the Rings films, like, you'll like this.
Mhm. I
But
quite
also, I can
did.
appreciate, like, it's like I love the Weta Workshop designs. I really do. But like,
Yeah.
they're a little too, how do I say it, like, I don't know, like they were around, like those movies were such a force. Like you kind of saw that art everywhere, and it got really repetitive. Like you got oversaturation of that kind of design with like the ogres and the orcs, and they're great designs now, but they're having more fun with the show. The designs are a little bit more extravagant, a little more extreme, a little more
Yeah.
flamboyant. I mean, like just more colorful. Like they have more fun with it. Where it was very dark and grim, and I don't mind dark and grim, but it was a lot of dark and grim. Like I said, the armor in this particularly is amazing. Like all the costumes are great, all the makeup is great, the visual effects are great. We've said this before. Amazon knows how to put on a production. They just do.
Yeah. I mean, they pump dollar bills into these shows. This is not a cheap production, and most of their productions are not cheap. Yeah,
You know,
but
the way they handle
so
magic is great too. Like it's not
yeah.
just people throwing fireballs at each other. Like, it's they do it tactfully. I like that. Like you discover Gandalf's origin, like not his true origin per se, but like, his this in the TV show's origin. You get to see Tom Bombadil the first time he's ever been featured in a live action movie. Everyone hates him because he's not portrayed right. But I don't know if him singing all the time and not helping would be good for the film for the TV show. Because he sings a
Yeah.
lot, and he like gives riddles, and he kind of helps, but not really. Because like those who help themselves, like
Yeah.
he's in the books, and like he helps them a couple times, but it's very weird the way he helps them, and I don't know if it translates well. I remember
Yeah,
because
I
he's a
mean,
deity, like why is he not helping them? I was like, why doesn't he just help them? They gotta help themselves. Oh great, cool. It's only the whole world dies
yeah,
if we lose, so no worries. I'll just help myself.
not everything on the page works on the stage, you know. So
Yes, that is
sometimes,
true.
you know, sometimes you gotta adapt. That's why they call them adaptations.
They explore
Um,
Sauron's immortality in this too, which is kind of cool, like how it works and like how like it goes places that I wasn't expecting it to go, and it has all the check marks, man. I mean, if you should really, I'm surprised you haven't watched it yet. I guess time, but you should definitely take
yeah,
a
I
look
haven't.
at it.
Well,
The
for a
first two
long
seasons are
time,
great.
I hadn't seen the Lord of the Rings, and it was like December. I just watched them for the first time. Um, I did, however, one night I fell asleep watching football, and Prime Video autoplayed the entirety of the first season. So, Prime, Amazon Prime thinks I've seen the show because when I go open up Amazon, it's got like the blue progress bars that show that I've watched every episode, which I haven't. But yeah, maybe I'll go through at some point and actually watch through them. But there you go, some fun news to round out our news portion of the show. We're gonna go ahead and jump into segment two